across Nigeria. This is News Central. I am Felicity Ezewike. The top stories tonight. Newly appointed Defense Minister General Christopher Musa commences official duties on his first day in office. Assembly Speaker Martin Amaewhule alongside 15 others dump PDP for ruling APC. Youths march in major protest across Germany as Parliament approves voluntary military service program. And in business, Netflix announces deal to buy Warner Brothers and HBO in deal that could combine bigger streamers and largest TV studios.
And in sports, U.S. President Donald Trump wins inaugural FIFA Peace Prize as draws for next year's World Cup holds in Washington, D.C.
Thank you for joining us. Tonight begins now. From Nigeria's capital, Abuja, the former Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, retired, has tasked staff of the Ministry of Defense to unite against Nigeria's common enemy, urging them to recommit themselves to a fresh dedication to service. This was as General Musa was received at the ministry as he assumed office. Our correspondent, Aishat Salihu, reports.
The crowd at the ministry waited earnestly for the new Minister of Defense. Everyone perched at any location possible to get an eye view of the former Chief of Defense Staff who had come to be loved by many. After his arrival, he inspected a guard of honor. He then met with senior leadership of the ministry before he proceeded into the facility with a jubilant crowd behind him.
The assumption of duty today marks a significant moment for the ministry and for the defense sector at large. On behalf of the entire management and staff of the Ministry of Defense, I wish to reaffirm our collective commitment to supporting your leadership as you steer the defense architecture of our nation.
General Musa commended the leadership of the ministry for holding forth for the nation and urged them to recommit themselves to the defense of Nigeria.
This task of securing the nation is a continuous one, and I'm aware that you have been holding the line with dedication. I commend you all. For decades, my life has been defined by a uniform, by the ethos of service, and by the sacred covenant to defend the territorial integrity and citizens of Nigeria. I therefore come to this role not as a stranger to our security challenges, but as a comrade who has been in the trenches both literally and figuratively. I have seen firsthand the bravery of our troops, the complexity of our threats, and the pivotal role of strategic coordination.
He also had time to meet with staff, urging them to unite against Nigeria's common enemies.
It's not a time to talk for so long, but I just want to say thank you for all the work you are doing. And to assure you, I'm here to make things better. I don't want to hear issue of his from the north, from the south. I'm Christian, I'm Muslim, we're all Nigerians. And if we have that and we are committed to our country, Nigeria will continue to grow.
The new Minister of Defense is expected to bring fresh ideas and the renewed vigor in tackling Nigeria's numerous security challenges. In Abuja, for News Central, Aishat Salihu.
We head on now to Rivers State, where the State House of Assembly on Friday witnessed a major political shift As its Speaker Martin Amaewhule, along with 15 other members, formally defected from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the All Progressive Congress, APC. The lawmakers said their move was prompted by the ongoing crisis within PDP at state level, arguing that they could no longer stay under a fractured party. The defection intensifies the long-running power struggle in the State Assembly, where rival factions have disputed the legitimacy of leadership and legislative seats ever since a similar mass defection back in December 2023.
Yes,
For the
Rivers people.
Rivers States, let's now turn to political analysts, Professor Yala Peter Said and Bristol Emmanuel. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. Prof, there are those who say this is just a mere formality. It's been expected for a while that this would happen. Is that your expectation? Is that what you think as well? And I also want you to speak as to the timing of this defection.
Good evening, Felicity. I think that we need to look at this defection from the point of view of what is the prompt. Recall that this same body defected some months ago and argued vehemently in the courts that they did not defect. So what is the impetus now? The last time it was supposed to be by the prompting of their leader, the FCT minister, who unfortunately did not defect at the time. And at that time, they did not have a significant crisis in the PDP. So the courts were challenging to drop them. In this case, there is clearly some dispute in the PDP, but I'm not sure that the timing is not to the bidding of the FCT minister, who probably wants to show that his alliance to the APC and the president is strong, given his most recent problems. I'm surprised that only 17 decamped, because last time there were a little bit more, 24. So I'm not sure whether we're expecting another flow of decampees to the APC. There's no reason why we shouldn't expect that. The PDP and APC in Rivers State are essentially the same, all controlled by the FCT minister.
All right. How peculiar is it that after they announced their defection, the next thing was movement of the House was adjourned until January 26, and there are speculations as to the reason for this. Bristol, could you talk to us about that? Does it have anything to do with a budget presentation, or it is in line with behaviors that are expected with a State House of Assembly at this time of the year? Bristol, if you can hear me, the question is for you, please.
Yes, it's quite an unfortunate situation, and we're expected that this should happen. It started from when we had government.
Okay, I think we have a bit of a challenge with Bristol's network.
Even at the party primaries at that time, some PDP members that were known as PDP members, who just few days ago, or can you hear me?
Yes, we can now. We can. Go ahead, sir.
Now, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Elections. We also know that the non-PDP members contested other APC, went through their primaries and they were certified. Today, those non-PDP members that defected just barely 3 weeks to the election, today they are local government chairmen under APC. We just hope that this is not a ploy to destabilize the state. We also do know that few days ago, just less than 2 weeks, the speaker from the Blues started attacking the governor, raising issues about the abandonment of schools, education, and all the rest. But as Rivers people, this is not what we want at this point in time. We've gone through a whole lot of trouble. We have issues in the state that are begging for attention. Defection is part of their constitutional right. I know that today the PDP has obvious crisis, so they are constitutionally protected to defect. The last time it was done, but it was hardly done, and the Supreme Court protected them even when we knew that that position of the law was wrong. Today, about 17 or 16 members have defected. They also adjourned till January. They know that the governor wants to present his budget. For me, I feel that it has been designed to frustrate the governor and the states. It's not a good thing that somebody from some other state will preside over the affairs of the state as a sole administrator because of this crisis. It is important that these lawmakers, they give peace a chance.
Okay, let's talk about the concerns that just before they adjourned, they talked about the delay of the state governor to present the nominees, new list of nominees for commissioners. That was a concern. And Bristol has brought up the issue of budget presentation, which was something that was also touted as one of the reasons that the members adjourned till January 26. So, Prof, what dynamics should we expect to see from this divided House?
Two issues. The first things first is that it was clear watching politics in Rivers State that something was brewing because suddenly the Speaker of the House started accusing the governor of inefficiency and 600 billion that was left over. I think we had not heard from them. So there's clearly some chiasm between the FCT minister and his followers and the governor in regards to whatever agreements were reached in resolving or at least tampering the crisis in Rivers State and getting the governor back. If you are watching events in Rivers State, even though it looked like things were peaceful, there just did not seem to be a merger of the two groups in any which way. And that is, I think, what has led to the absence of new commissioners, because I think there's a disagreement between the governor and the FCT minister as to who needs to be on that cabinet post. And in fact, if you don't know, you probably should know that the governor has not moved back to the government house and he's operating from his private residence to govern the state. The second part is, I don't understand why and what benefit it would be to the state or to the House of Assembly if they prevent the governor from presenting the budget. That is the one area of authority that they have, because ultimately their recognition is based on their ability to control the purse. So stopping the governor from presenting his budget as due, as normally happens in Nigeria in early January, I don't see what benefit that gives them. I just think that at this time, it just seems to me that nobody is thinking about the state, that everybody is thinking about themselves. And yes, they are politicians, they have a right to defect or not defect, but I doubt that anything they are doing right now is in the best interest of the state.
Bristol, talk to us about the seeming silence of the governor to what is playing out in the House. Does he really have much to say at this point? What could be his options in reaction should he want to present a budget to the House?
I think you know that
Okay, we apologize for the static from that audio. The network is really bad from his end. But Prof, quickly, if you could speak to that, maybe in 30 seconds.
I think that this is really ill-advised decision, but the governor can still, present the budget by a state broadcast to the people and that he has the interest of the people at hand, and obviously then the pressure will then be on the House of Assembly to at some point get their act together and approve the budget so that the state can move on. If they don't do that, then clearly the public sentiment will be against them, because the state has been, in my view, the last 6 months, very moribund. Again, it's funny to me that they have only 17 people who have defected, when at the last defection they had much more than that. So they don't even have the quorum to impeach the governor, because you need two-thirds majority, and they only have a simple majority, except of course there's some bit of game smashing that the other few who are still in the PDP will jump ship in no time. So this is something we need to watch. This is unfortunately something that's happening in the Yuletide period, when people are trying to end the year properly. There's hunger, there's unemployment. I hope that the governor has at least enough leeway to do the kind of thing he did last time, which is to give bonuses to members of the civil service to make December less.
Quite a lot happening in Rivers State. Quite unfortunate in many instances. Thank you very much, Professor Iyala Peter-Side and Bristol Emmanuel, for sparing time to talk to us.
Thank you, Felicity.
Thank you for staying with us. You're watching tonight on News Central. A reminder of our top stories. Newly appointed Defense Minister General Christopher Musa commences official duties on his first day in office. Rivers Assembly Speaker Martin Amaewhule, alongside 15 others, dump PDP for ruling APC. Youths march in major protest across Germany as Parliament approves voluntary military service program. The All Progressive Congress Screening Committee has disqualified 7 aspirants, including the party's National Secretary, Senator Iola Omishore, from the Osun State governorship primary. Also disqualified is the immediate past Deputy Governor, Benedict Alabi. The decision was announced following the submission of a report by the 7-member screening committee led by Obinna Uzo to the party's organization department on Friday. The committee cleared Mulikat Adiola Jimo and Muniruddin Bola for the December 13 primary election, noting that they fulfilled all regulatory requirements outlined in the party's guidelines, constitution, and the Electoral Act. Staying with developments in Osun State, the Supreme Court has struck out the suit filed by the state government challenging the federal government's legality for withholding local government allocations belonging to the state. In a 6-1 split decision, the court ruled that the Attorney General of Osun State lacked the legal standing to sue on behalf of the 30 local government councils. The Apex Court also added that since there was no evidence that the councils briefed the state Attorney General, he acted without proper authority.
I find it extremely difficult, honestly, with profound respect to their lordship on the majority side, that the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation will have the capacity to protect 774 local governments, and the Honorable Attorney General of Osun State will not be able to protect the 30 local governments in state. It's a puzzle that is very difficult for me to understand. But we give glory to Almighty Allah. One thing is certain, as they've rightly cautioned the Federation.
Staying with legal matters, but this time in Plateau State, legal practitioners there have converged on the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, KURU, to discuss better ways of treating business-related cases in court to ensure speedy adjudication. This was during a 2-day workshop on judicial efficiency and enforcement of business-related judgments organized by the Plateau State Action on Business Enabling Reforms. Noting the challenges faced by the business community in the state and the seemingly low pace of judgments experienced in the courts, they say that the meeting will work towards ensuring that majority of these cases meet the benchmark set by the World Bank.
It's meant to deepen access to justice and also quick and affordable dispensation of justice in Plateau State.
At the last count, we had about 45 cases that were resolved successfully, within the time frame specified by the World Bank. This year, we are hoping to reach a target of about 80 cases that would be resolved within the shortest possible time, as envisaged by the World Bank.
Cases like that don't supposed to take more than 4 or 3 adjournments because they are undefended. It talks about claims that are monetary, that are debts, contract between a person to another, that has to do with an amount of money which is specified. It's a straightforward claim.
These claims are small, they're not technical issues, we are approachable, and they will be able to come to our courts, access these services, and be able to get their claims without too much bottleneck and stress.
Following global spotlight on cases of gender-based violence, attention is shifting to the rising threat of technology-facilitated cases in the light of the ongoing 16 days of activism against the vice. Experts warn that digital platforms are increasingly being weaponized to intimidate, assault, and silence women. Stakeholders are now demanding urgent legislative reforms to secure online spaces. News Center's Sagi Ibrahim brings us details.
The expansion of digital spaces has birthed a new form of violence where anonymity fuels abuse against women and girls. At the 11th Network Conference of Sexual Assault Referral Centers, managers and experts warn that online misogyny is fast becoming normalized.
Digital platforms enable image-based abuse, deepfake pornography, cyberstalking, and gender disinformation. AI and generative technologies are amplifying these threats. Around 90 to 95% of all online deepfakes are non-consensual pornographic images, and 90% of them depict women.
There's an evolution of the various forms of crimes and various forms of sexual and gender-based violence that particularly affects women and girls. With technology, cybercrime issues actually really promoting this violence from the traditional forms of harassments, extortions, to really use of technology.
Legal experts insist that Nigeria's justice system remains too slow in catching up with these evolving digital threats.
One of the major issues that we are facing when it comes to whether offline, the digital space, and is distribution of these threats, of these offenses. It's a major highlight. So we can amend these laws, that factors in whatever abuse you are doing.
While operators cite poor funding as a major hurdle, they admit that the referral centers are successfully encouraging more survivors to speak out.
People are opening up. The culture of silence is being broken. The religion barrier is being broken because we work with a lot of stakeholders. In fact, we see everybody as a stakeholder in our community. So like the religion leaders, they cooperate. Traditional leaders, they cooperate. They know at what point you refer a particular case to so that they don't manage cases at their own level.
The consensus here is for state governors to move beyond passing laws and invest in functional support systems for victims. In Abuja for News Central, Sagi Ibrahim.
Still ahead tonight, new Madagascar leader demands trial for ousted President Rajoelina. Details of this story after this break. The life and legacy of Olusegun Awolowo Jr., lawyer, statesman, and grandson of late Chief Obafemi Awolowo, was celebrated in Lagos on Friday as family, friends, dignitaries, and other well-wishers gathered for his final funeral service. Placidia Iwekulie compiled this report.
The atmosphere was solemn yet dignified as loved ones paid their final respects to a man many described as humble, brilliant, and deeply committed to public service. Olusegun Awolowo Jr., who passed away on the 20th of November 2025 at the age of 62, was honored for his contributions to national development, his leadership within public institutions, and his dedication to preserving the values and legacy of the Awolowo family.
Mr. Olusegun Omotunde Kofi Awolowo Jr., a son of legacy, a servant of our nation, a pillar of his generation, and indeed a man of deep humility. Was not just a public figure, he was a bridge between history and the future, between ideals and action, between his illustrious lineage and the ordinary people that he truly cared for.
During the service, speakers reflected on his calm disposition, his sense of duty, and the impact he had on the lives of those who worked closely with him.
I stand here to represent the President, who said to tell me to say to you that this one got deep. Shegun served Nigeria with an exceptional passion and unending dedication.
The funeral service marks the final chapter in a life many say was lived with purpose, honor, and lasting influence. They say he leaves behind a legacy of courage, nation building, humility, and service.
Away from Nigeria, Madagascar's new leader has demanded that ousted President Andry Rajoelina face justice for alleged crimes committed during recent unrest. Colonel Michael Randrianirina, who took power following violent protest and a military takeover, told France 24 that Rajoelina should be tried for shooting demonstrators during the crisis that forced him to flee the country in October. After Randrianirina's army unit publicly supported the protesters on October 14, Rajoelina escaped with secret assistance from French forces. His current whereabouts remain unknown. And thousands of young people in Berlin are protesting Germany's new military service law approved by Parliament on Friday amid rising tensions with Russia. Around 3,000 demonstrators rallied against the controversial bill, which introduces a voluntary service option to boost ranks to 260,000 active soldiers and 200,000 reservists by 2035 from current levels of about 183,000. Starting from January 2026, all 18-year-old males must complete a mandatory questionnaire on service interest with medical checks for those born before 2008 from mid-2027. Women can opt in voluntarily. At a summit hosted by U.S. President Donald Trump in Washington, leaders of the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda signed a peace deal aimed at resolving the ongoing conflict in the region. The agreement, endorsed today, builds on a deal reached in June, though analysts caution it has yet to stop fighting in eastern DR Congo, where recent clashes between government forces and M23 rebels accused of Rwandan backing have continued. The DR Congo army accused rebel groups of sabotaging the peace process, while M23 claims the government breached a ceasefire by launching offensives. The conflict, which escalated earlier this year, leading to thousands of deaths and mass displacement, remains tense. Let's get some thoughts on this. We turn now to global policy analyst Alexander von Rugen. Thank you very much, Alex. Many have described the second coming of Trump as a moment for fostering reconciliations. Here's another one between DRC and Rwanda. How better does President Trump do this than his other presidential assignments?
Well, I mean, Trump has been on the record as being, he wants to be the president known for making peace treaties as opposed to a wartime president. His adversaries will argue this point, saying you don't make peace with missile launches or invasions, and actually you do. What Trump has done in other countries, such as Yemen, in going after the Houthis that were bombing Israel, he didn't invade, he sent them a message. So now when Trump speaks, people listen. He's an affirmative action guy. He took on this task to try and negotiate a peace in Rwanda and the DRC. I believe it was at the request of the president of the DRC to bring him in. And his partake in this peace treaty could be also the catalyst to reason and the catalyst to a prolonged peace. He's been commended by President Kagame for being fair and equitable to both sides without taking sides, which means he wants Africa or countries in Africa to solve their own problems. But if he can be the catalyst to reason, or the enforcer, if you want to call it, for whatever deal has been agreed to, then so be it. He'll take that role. So I think in his second term, he has the power in both the Senate and the House in America to allow him these autocratic moves and decisions, even though he's a president of a democratic country. But he really wants to go for peace. So henceforth, his involvement, I think, could be the catalyst to maintaining peace.
On the flip side of this, there are those who are wondering why blocs like African Union, the East African Community, as the EAC, seem to be leaving their jobs for foreign nations to solve. I mean, is this crisis beyond regional blocs to have allowed Trump's intervention?
I think it's been an evolution. You know, a wise man named Albert Einstein said it best. He said, insanity is when you do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. This conflict in Rwanda and the DRC has been going on since, the Rwandan genocide in '94, and there's been skirmishes between conflicting groups, some state-sponsored, some private, and other countries have been involved. They've tried to negotiate deals; those have failed. And there's also warring factions between politicians that want to regain power. Most notably, not present in these negotiations in Washington were Joseph Kabila, who's been a disruptive force here, and I think getting to the peace talk table. To bring in a foreigner such as Trump, I think, as I mentioned a little earlier, he tends to be a catalyst to people listening because he takes affirmative action, and America has got a reputation of being the global policeman. After 30-odd years of watching this scenario unfold, I think it's time perhaps to bring in a new face, a new voice, and a voice of reason. Again, if that's the catalyst to peace, then did Africa or the African Union learn something from this? I would hope so. If anything, they should use it as an example on perhaps how to conduct future negotiations.
Okay. What would you say to those who say Trump's intervention is more of selfishness than it is of sincerity? The argument is that the U.S. is never known for freebies for every handshake they extend, they return with a bag. And then there is Trump was asking for $500 billion in minerals as compensation from Ukraine to pay back America's aid during the war. Now is striking some critical investment deal with the duo of DRC and Rwanda beyond the peace deal. I want you to speak to that, please.
Well, you can't compare apples to oranges. The Ukraine deal is a totally different animal. Billions of dollars have been fronted by the U.S., and Trump makes it very clear that's not aid. That's a debt that has to be repaid. So we talk about 500 billion or million or whatever it is in mineral resources. That's collateral to pay back a debt that's been borrowed. You know, you want to buy weapons? You have to pay for them. America's cut a deal where the weapons will be sold to the European Union, and the European Union wants to donate them to the Ukraine. That's on them, but Trump says we're going to get paid for it. In Africa, one thing Trump has done, and it's been to the anxiety of a lot of corrupt officials, is he's cut off U.S. aid and he's defunded the UN. He's advocating trade over aid.
Okay.
What's the difference here? If he's providing support to help the peace, and he wants to get paid back if that support costs America money, or if he has to advance weapons or whatever it is to keep the peace, I think he wants to show that they'll be paid back. But more importantly, I think he's trying to bring prosperity into the region so they don't have to go to war.
I'm really so sorry to interject, but I'm told that's all the time we have for this conversation. Thank you, Alexander, for being here.
My pleasure.
Business, sports, and entertainment come next when we return.
This segment is brought to you by MoneyPoint.
Netflix is acquiring Warner Brothers Discovery, including HBO and HBO Max, in an $82.7 billion cash and stock deal. The acquisition gives Netflix iconic franchises like Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, and DC Comics. Shareholders will receive $23.25 cash and $4.50 from Netflix stock per share. The deal is expected to close by third quarter of 2026 after WBD splits off its global networks division. This strategic move expands Netflix content offerings, strengthens its streaming position, and adds significant production capacity. The deal is part of Netflix's efforts to boost its global presence and competitiveness in the entertainment industry. Gecko Mines, Congo State miner, has partnered with Mercuria, to market copper, cobalt, and other minerals. The partnership aims to increase transparency and revenue for the world's top cobalt producer. Gecko Mines gains direct control over sales from joint ventures and will compete in tenders. This deal is part of Congo's efforts to boost its mining output control and global influence. Congo has introduced a cobalt export quota system and launched traceable artisanal cobalt. Activities on the Nigeria exchange ended bullish, with the all-share index ending day with 147,040.26%, with days percentage change of 1.08% and year-to-date of 42.86%. Meanwhile, the market capitalization ended the day at 93.72 trillion naira. Now let's check out some of the indexes that we are tracking, starting with banking. Ended positive with 1.31%. Insurance ended in the red with 0.83%. Oil and gas also ended in the red with 0.08%, but consumer goods had marginal growth of 0.83%, while the industrial goods index lifted the day's trading with 2.06%. That does it for business news tonight. Sports is next. In sport, FIFA President Gianni Infantino awarded the inaugural FIFA Peace Prize to United States President Donald Trump on Friday's 2026 World Cup draw in Washington, D.C. Trump received the award around 30 minutes into a glitzy show at the Kennedy Center before drawing of teams into the World Cup groups for next summer's tournament in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. FIFA introduced the award last month to reward individuals who have taken exceptional and extraordinary actions for peace, and by doing so, have united people across the world.
Thank you very much. This is truly one of the great honors of my life. And beyond awards, Johnny and I were discussing this. We saved millions and millions of lives. The Congo, as an example, over 10 million people killed, and it was heading for another 10 million very quickly. And it just, you know, the fact that we could do that, India, Pakistan, so many different wars that we're able to end, in some cases, a little bit before they started, just right before.
Still talking about the draws, African contenders Morocco, Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, South Africa, Tunisia and Egypt have discovered the group stage opponents for next year's FIFA World Cup. Morocco have been placed in Group C, where they will face global powerhouse Brazil and Scotland. Senegal headline Group I, where they will take on France, the 2018 World Cup champions and 2022 finalists, alongside Norway. The opening fixture of the group will see France and Senegal meet again, a repeat of their famous 2002 clash, where the Teranga Lions shocked the world with a historic upset. Elsewhere, Cote d'Ivoire have been drawn into Group E, while South Africa will compete in Group A. Tunisia lands in Group F, where they are set to challenge the Netherlands and Japan. Egypt, meanwhile, they join Group G, facing stern test against Belgium and Iran. The Nigerian Football Federation has paid growing tribute to Super Eagles captain William Troost-Ekong following the announcement of his immediate retirement from the international football on Thursday. In a statement released after what was described as a disproportionate evaluation of his decade-long service, the NFF lauded Troost-Ekong's leadership, commitment and patriotism throughout his 10-year spell with the national team. Troost-Ekong, who made his senior debut for Nigeria in 2015, captained the Super Eagles with what the Federation called gusto, zeal and patriotic fervor, earning widespread respect for his humility, discipline and ambition both before and after he assumed the captaincy role. And that's it in the world of sport. I am Onyinyechi Obaro. Entertainment news is up next with Kate.
Tonight in the world of entertainment, Afrobeat icon Tubaba has finally spoken out as the controversy involving him and Natasha intensifies online. In a blunt and emotional statement, he revealed that the situation has spiraled out of control, saying he can no longer stay silent. According to him, the same family members who claimed they were trying to save him have instead destroyed him and unfairly tarnished Natasha's reputation. His outburst has stunned fans and, of course, flipped the conversation, with many now questioning whether the issue was ever about protecting him or simply fueling more drama. What looked like a private family matter has exploded into a public crisis, with Tubaba insisting Natasha has been wrongly dragged into the mess. Moving on, this year's Dirty December has taken an unexpected twist as Nigerians hope for their holidays are ditching shortlet apartments and booking hotels instead. What used to be the go-to option for comfort and privacy has now become a major source of frustration as shortlet prices hit outrageous levels. According to reports, many shortlets in Lagos and Abuja have doubled or even tripled their rates, with some high-end apartments now charging up to 700,000 naira per night. Social media has been buzzing with complaints from travelers shocked by the inflated prices to influencers calling out hosts for greed and poor value. With hotel bookings rising and shortlet demand deepening, analysts say this could mark a major shift in holiday travel habits. That does it on entertainment news for tonight. My name is Kate Adeogun.
And that's all the news we have for you tonight. Please share your thoughts using the phone number showing now on your screen. You can send us a WhatsApp message or you can follow us on social media platforms to do so at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV and on YouTube. Thank you for your time. Good night.